Hello, good evening. Can anyone hear me? Does it work fine? So yeah, no questions today. Today there will just be that I am taking on challenges from all the viewers. And I will do some commentary throughout the games. And for the challenges, well, we did do this same thing a couple of weeks ago, and I said that as long as the games are not too long, anything is fine, basically. So like 3+0, 3+1, 3+2. And less, of course. So like bullet and 1 or 2 seconds increment is excellent as well. But longer than that, I think will just stop more people from getting a chance to play. So let's see. I will start. I will also accept challenges completely randomly. So there is no need to ask for a game in chat because I will anyway just choose randomly. So let's start. I'm playing against Boris Matt from Germany. Let me just see. He plays e4. Okay, let's go c5. Let's play the Sicilian. So German, in my opinion, or in my experience, German players, they generally know theory quite well. They are normally quite booked up, so it's interesting. Even a slightly lesser rated German player is expected to know a bit of theory, actually. I see that we have already gotten raided by Chelsea Monica. Thank you very much. Thank you. So let's see. So if there is anything wrong technically, or if you can't hear me well or anything like that, just let me know in chat and I will try to adjust. Otherwise I will just play on. This is 3+0. So yeah, better be careful. Of course, 3+0 is particularly interesting for me because there is the title arena on Saturday, and this time it's actually 3+0, which in my opinion is the most interesting title arena to play. Let's put it that way. Normal chess 3+0. I mean, bullet of course is fun, but it's in a way how to put it. It's a bit less serious, and for the chess content in itself, I mean, I must say that I prefer to play blitz. So I'm definitely looking forward to the title arena on Wednesday. So yeah, so let's see about this game. I mean, I'm very happy because I have this strong knight, which he cannot kick away, and I have a very strong dark squared bishop, which my opponent does not have. So I think it's quite clear that I'm better, but the question is, how do I increase my advantage? I'm tempted to go here. I think that's what I will try. Because now I have some ideas with knight g4 tricks opening up for the bishop. Which looks... I mean, it looks like white has to do some sort of over protecting, like... Yeah, knight a4 was one of the moves, but... Yeah, first I can take here, which is very, very interesting. With the idea that if I take with the queen, I can play knight f3 and recapture with the bishop, but I think I will try to get even more, but how do I do that? Okay, let's... Yeah, queen b4. Now he can take an e6. I think he should take an e6 and get out of this problematic bind on the diagonal. He plays b3, but I think this allows knight g4, if I'm not missing anything. The point is, if he takes, I take with the bishop on d4, and due to the pin, I'm picking up... Yeah, now I will pick up something with check. Just a matter of with which one to take. Probably the bishop. Now, yeah. I mean, when you lose something in the center, then usually the whole position falls apart immediately. So let me just see. Yeah, now it's a queen up, and I do believe that I have plenty of time to finish this off. I am known to be not the fastest of players, but an extra queen with a minute I can do. Let's see now. What is the fastest way? Let's queen f4. Let's take. If he takes, I have queen f3, mate. Yeah, it's not that tricky. I think it will be mate on the next move. He takes on h3. I take back with the queen. Checkmate. So thank you for the game, Boris. It ended with mat. Let's play Minister 007. So 007 of course is but it's not. How many games actually? Oof, 15,000, no, 14,000 blitz games. That's pretty impressive. I think it's 10 times the number I have at least. So a3. Let's go d5. 007 of course is all the rage now that or in the news at least, when Sean, what was his name? I mean, what is his name? I always forget his name. The Bond guy died recently, so should pay tribute by playing 007. Okay, let's see now. So he wants to go knight c3 and put some pressure on my center. Question is, how should I Connery? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, now he wants to take and play knight b5, but I'm not sure that I really fear it. Okay, I'll block him with a6. Next I will go bishop e6 and then just push here probably. No, I'm fine with bullet. I'm just saying I will play. I will play anything, but 3 plus 0 is maybe the most interesting. But I will also play other time controls. I basically just wanted to mention that I look forward to the title arena. That was the main point of the previous statement. So let's see now. I'm a bit confused. What if I take here? Am I winning a pawn maybe? I think I'm winning a pawn because I will take on b5 next. And everything is sort of overprotected here. The pawn on e4, that is. Yeah, now, I mean... Okay, a4 is interesting. He wants bishop a3 to pick up an exchange. But I think I'm in time to take and play b5. In general, but should I play b5 actually? There's maybe no need. I think I'll do it anyway. b5, we can go bishop a3, but then I take on a4. Bishop takes that, I take on b3. This seems to work. Knight c3, then rook takes a1. Knight c5 play. That's an interesting move. It's quite an aggressive one, but does it really work? I think his idea was to take on f6 now, but the problem is that I have queen c1. Intermediate check. Which, yeah, that's why he doesn't do it. But now, as far as I can see, I'm just 2 pawns up instead of 1. So, guess this is pretty decent. Let's see. Yeah, queen b2 now, very important of course to not allow the checkmate. Queen b2 is nice because he gets rook c1. Yeah, now he gets some play. I missed this. Probably I should give up the pawn on c6. Now he is also threatening the pawn on e. I think I will just give it up. So when I'm drinking coffee, actually I'm drinking tea currently. Usually I drink coffee, but when I drink it, it's lagging. I will try to... I will try to be more careful with that. Okay, so let's see now, yeah. How do I do this in the cleanest way? I also do not have that much time. Let's go rook b8. I mean, rook behind the passed pawn is generally a very simple and efficient rule in such positions, so I think it should work also here. Small trick, rook d4, knight c2, which my opponent will not fall for. But also in general, I believe that my knight is well placed on f3 because it helps me to push the pawn. Yeah, rook e6. The problem is that he's a bit. Let's see now. Should I play bit? I think I'll just play. I mean, this is maybe not the quickest way, but I think it's good enough. He will try to flag me now because I have only 27 seconds, but yeah, g2 is hanging. So okay, thank you very much for the game, Minister 007. Was fighting well. Let's go for the next one. Alaboda. Let's play with Alaboda. Ah, Swedish player. Ah, from my country. With 1200 blitz games. How many challenges? Currently I have like 40 challenges, but I'm picking them at random, so I guess a new challenge will will be as likely as an old one. Let's see now. Also, if you have any specific sort of opening wishes, for instance, then I am happy to oblige. If you have any favorite lines that you want me to try out, then I'm happy to do that. I'm playing everything anyway, in especially in Blitz, but actually also in classical chess as well. Let's see. I'm a little bit afraid of c5 breaking up this pawn chain. That's why I played knight a6. Now I covered the square. So castles. If before, I think I have some tricks with e4. I'm not sure if it works, but I'm tempted at least. Question if it's okay to dirty flag. I don't know what Lichess official policy is, but according to me, it's very okay. If you play without increment, you have to be ready to get flagged. And I'm usually on sort of the side that actually gets flagged, so it's not because I'm gaining anything from it. I just think if you want to avoid getting flagged, then use increment. That's what increment is for. So let's now try to. I think I will just try to attack. But I can also play d4. I think I will. I'm a bit undecisive here. So yeah, I did not want to allow this knight e4. But on the other hand, I didn't want him to take either, so it was a bit of a difficult choice. What should I do now? Maybe develop. But he wants to go b5, and b5 is a bit unpleasant actually. Probably knight c7. Well, my last couple of moves have not been great actually, I have to say. So yeah, I mean, I'm expecting like he's a good bishop. Is a bishop on g2, and he should really try to make use of the of that strong bishop. That's not exactly what he's playing it interestingly, like not in the way that I expected. But the point here is that he wants to get the square on d6, which is a very good square. But I have a square on c3 as well, which might be equally good. That's at least my plan here. Okay, so he does allow knight c3. Which I think is okay. So he has this idea to attack on f7, but I think I can block with bishop e6. And now e2 is hanging as well. Frankly speaking, I'm not entirely sure what is going on. But at the very least, I am not worse. I'm expecting him to go knight c4. Then I think I would just, yeah, I would think. I have some different options, but just taking this with check, taking the bishop, hitting the queen, and then next move just move the rook and everything is protected. This looks to me fine. The reason that I was somewhat hesitant was that my pawn on e5 is slightly weak, which he now attacks, which is excellently done by him. But here, suddenly, I think I'm spotting an interesting tactic. I think it works. Let's see here. So b5. The point is if he takes on b6 en passant, then I can take on d6. Knight takes and his queen is hanging. So I think this b5 might actually... or I mean, I'm fairly convinced that it picks up a piece. The only question is, will this pawn on b6 be dangerous? Because c6 is hanging as well. Okay, let's try to make to drink some tea without the screen freezing. I'm very confused. So he does take. It's the only chance. Queen takes. I think now the only chance is to take, and then try to get bishop takes c6. But frankly speaking, it shouldn't work for him. Because I think, for instance, I have bishop d5 check trading stuff. But here, even better, maybe rook e6, right? Now he has some issues on the 6th rank. Knight c8 actually I missed, but I have a counter trick here. I'm again quite lucky. I have this check here hitting the king and the knight, so now I have 3 pieces, which should be one too many for him to handle. With 2 pieces sometimes you can fight, but with 3 generally you can't. It worked, yeah? Great. Okay, thank you for the game. Alaboda from Sweden. I am also, for those of you who don't know, Swedish, but living currently in Copenhagen, Denmark. Let's see now. We have someone pretending to be Magnus here. Maxi Bogus 06. Maxi Bogus is, I think, what Magnus Carlsen, world champion, calls himself on Chess 24, right? Or maybe on Lichess it's nothing else, yeah? B6, okay. Now e4, taking the center. But he's from Azerbaijan, so that's definitely not Magnus. Magnus wannabe, yeah. Something like that. If I speak Danish, well, let's say I can make myself understood in Danish, but the language, especially the pronunciation, is very tricky for non-natives. So I can speak, but I will sound heavily Swedish when I speak. Dr. Nichterstein, yeah, exactly. That's what I thought. Yeah. But Maxi Bogus, it's definitely on Chess 24, and now he's even playing on chess.com, our world champion. And there I do not know what his handle is. Knight f6. Yeah, so the question here in general is how, or not how, rather where to play with white. And usually then we say that when you have a pawn chain in the center, you should play where your pawn chain is aiming at. So like black has this pawn chain, and if we continue the chain, it goes towards my king side. So that's generally where black should play, and this is usually done with the break f5. Whereas now I have a pawn on c4 as well, but in general in the center I have these 2 pawns, which means that in general I should try to play on black's queen side. That's why I'm now playing b4, and later on I will try to push c5. So this is my general style, and the question is, will black be able to generate some counterplay on the king side? And it looks to me like he's a bit later than usual. So probably what he does is very reasonable. He simply forgets about his own play and tries to hinder me in my doings. Actually, he had knight g4 there, which I missed, which was very useful to get the bishop. That, I mean, in general, if you can get the dark squared bishop for a knight, you should always do it. Now he plays knight g4, but now it's a bit late because I got time to retreat it. So yeah, I mean, I'm looking long term either to enter on the a file, on a rook coming to a7 later on, or to play knight b5, hitting the pawn on c7, and even this long maneuver to c6 could be very strong one day. And in general, trying to avoid that he gets some g6 f5 play. So h6 is a bit slow, but there is actually a clear idea with it, and it's to play bishop g5. The logic is that when you have a cramped position like he does, I have more space. then every trade should, in principle, be making his defensive task a bit easier. Queen b8 played, and now I'm slightly regretting that I did not trade queens before my last move, knight b5. Okay, so let's play rook b1. Rook c8, and here I'm tempted to play something like c5. I do believe it should work. I'm not calculating very clearly, but the point is that when he takes twice, then the rook is open against his queen. And that should give me some tactics. And what those tactics are, I will sort of figure out later. So here probably I need to play h3 first to kick the knight away, and before recapturing. Yeah, so now when he takes with the knight, I will take, and I will take on e5. So had this knight still been on g4, then f2 would be hanging, but now it isn't. Bishop a6 is an interesting move, making use of the pin here on this diagonal. He's playing well. He's definitely playing well, but let's make a counter pin at g7. Now probably take with the bishop. But yeah, the problem for him is that this queen a7 doesn't really help, because I have rook a1 and the queen has to retreat. Now actually he is so unlucky that his queen is even trapped. The question is, should I take it immediately or should I try to increase pressure first? I think this is a decent intermediate move. Threatening bishop takes f6, and when he retreats, okay, now I can even take the knight. If he had gone to e7, then I would play rook a8 in a better at a better moment. So yeah. Okay, now I think this will be fairly smooth. Yeah, queen against rook is normally quite easy to win. I don't have that much time, but I think it's enough. Yeah. I do have pre-moves turned on, so I should be able to do it. Thank you for the game, Max Evokes from Azerbaijan. He offers rematch, but I will not be in time to play. Rematches, of course, we should give different players a chance. Let's go to some. I'm having a lot of. Okay, 60 plus 2 is definitely too much. Let's see. Let's play a candidate master, Ilder, from Argentina. Hello to Argentina. And again, it's 3 plus 0. It seems that I'm very often picking 3 plus 0 randomly. I also could not find any bullet challenges, actually. So c3. Now the question is, do I take immediately or do I develop my bishop first? I think you take. So this, in comparison to a normal exchange French, is that my bishop can get out, which is very, very useful. Now, in the French, it would already be blocked in by e6. So, what is my experience working with Anderson? I'm assuming you mean the Swedish Grandmaster Ulf Andersson. And if that is so, then well, I have excellent experience working with him. For those of you who don't know, Ulf Andersson was a very strong player mainly in the 80s and 90s, mainly 80s. He was top 10 in the world for quite a while, but especially very, very strong in endgames and in positional chess. And I was taught more or less everything I know about endings by Ulf. Things like how to create a fortress and so on was some things that he understood, I think, as well as anyone else in the world ever. Yeah, maybe he was like number 3 or 4 at his peak. but that was a bit fluctuating with the ratings. Like he was a solid top 10 for a long time, let's say, for sure. It would be very interesting to know which chess books he studied. Do you mean me or do you mean Ulf? Because in the case of Ulf, I think there weren't that many that many good chess books. He was analyzing mainly by himself. That's how he learned to play. He was analyzing a lot of chess all the time. One could even argue that he was a maniac. Much more than me, let's say. You know, I once, I think it was maybe even our first session together, we met in like in the middle, during the middle of the day, to discuss some chess. I was like 14, 15, young, very fresh, lots of energy. He was already then close to 60, a long beard. I mean, seemed by all appearances like an old man. And we started maybe 12, 1 o'clock. And at some point, like 2 in the night, I mean, we had been going for like 14 hours. I was incredibly tired. I could barely hold my eyes open, and he was considerably fresher than when we started. Like he just gained energy from all this analysis, which for me as a 14-year-old was quite astonishing. It made really a huge impression on me back then. But that is Ulf. That is very typical Ulf. Yeah, so in this game, the question is how will have this is Swedish Grandmaster Ulf Andersson, whom I of course have worked quite a lot with as a kid. And by the way, good evening, Mr. Howell. Let's see now. Yeah, so here, in general, I thought I would be slightly better, but I think I have misplayed it slightly, and I guess white is now okay again. Don't really know what to do even. I mean, this is a passed pawn, protected by my e6 pawn, and this bishop is slightly weaker, but he puts it on d4, and then I don't really know how to play this for a win. So I will put my pawns on light squares to go along with my bishop on dark squares, and hope that in some ending it will be an edge. Maybe he plays a3, and if I'm allowed to dream, I can come with my king the long way, which is very sort of dreamy of me, but okay, now he made an interesting decision. Maybe he can even take with the b pawn. If he takes with the b pawn, I do believe that actually my pawn on b7 is weaker than his on c3. So that's why I'm trying to trade it. But this has not been a very impressive game so far. Let's see. He wants some queen h. He wants to go there somewhere, but I don't think he has anything to gain. But I also don't believe that I'm better. I have no reason to believe that I'm better, I think. What is going on now? Ah, yeah, I'm having some lag issues, it would appear. Is the stream still live? How is my internet doing? Can anyone hear me? Stream is still going. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. For some reason, yeah. Let's see. Back! I really don't know what is going on. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. This usually doesn't happen. I have streamed quite a lot. I don't know why it's back. Maybe actually, hang on. I will just ask if my girlfriend is doing something internet heavy and if she can stop in that case. I will be back. Aha! I hope it will be better. I'm not sure exactly if she did something, but I asked her to be careful with the internet. Let's see. I was losing the last game. Yeah, I guess some people would, when they are not having a great position, they would make the internet disappear for a few seconds and then start a new one quickly. Yeah, for those of you who know me, I certainly hope that you don't think that's me. So let's see. Yeah, so now I played bishop g4 and I have a trick to play knight d3 check here. So the point is he can't take because then I take on d1. Let's see. So now take on f2. Not sure how much it actually gives me because his king is quite solid. Oh, he forgot to he could recapture the knight actually. That was yeah, that was a big miss by my opponent. Now I'm emerging just a piece up, so let's see. Now I'm threatening knight d4 check. Yeah, now I mean he needed of course to recapture on b2. Clearly. Yeah, now knight d4 and the pawn is pinned, so I'm picking up the queen as well. But he did play quite a few solid moves. Like up until this point, it was all very solid. Just this bishop e2 was not didn't really work. He missed this trick. Let's see here if I can pick someone who has not been. Let's play with Krokulu from another German. Casual 3+0. Good luck. I'm not sure if there is a way to when you accept challenges to know in advance where the players are from, because I can only see their rating and handle and so on. I'm not a great expert on Lichess. So now we have something. We have a pawn structure which I'm very familiar with, but I actually don't know whether it has a name. It's typical pawn c3 d4 and e3. Normally even with a pawn on f3 instead. I can't actually see the country when I'm hovering over. No, I don't think so. I see. Yeah, I can. Okay, I will do it next. Pick some exciting countries as well. That's right. Do I play any chess in Copenhagen? Very little at the moment. Of course, during the pandemic, currently in Denmark, you are allowed to meet maximum 10 people at the same time. So not a lot of chess can be played. For instance, a normal team match is 8 against 8, so 16 can't be played. But I did play a tournament in Copenhagen during the summer when it was less of a crisis. It was a very nice Grandmaster tournament. Let's see. Yeah, now I won this pawn with check, which is quite useful, I think. I think I will emerge 2 pawns up, which should be enough. He does have the 2 bishops, so there is some compensation, but I don't think it's really enough. I think this should be a fairly convincing edge here. E4. Let's see, should I take it or what should I do actually? Does he want E5? Probably not. I'll just go rook A8. Eddie Zero, thanks for the game. You were fighting well. You were definitely fighting well. And now I have some, I have some pressure with the rook. I will go rook F8 next. It does look pretty convincing. So queen d4 or knight d4, I guess. Some ideas with knight c2 check. Not sure whether the queen needs to go back, but that's very sad as well. Queen e4. Interesting. It's a very risky move because the queen in the center there looks very unstable, but possibly not so bad. Hang on, how do I can also just play solidly, like I play h6 maybe. Do I have anything better? This is the question. Okay, let's go h6 just to avoid some back rank mate. Also, principally, I put my pawn on dark squares against his bishop. And yeah, let white decide what he wants to do here. I think now I can pick up another pawn. Knight d6, okay. I have discovered attack, but he can take with the queen. That's a problem. So probably I should just return, keep everything protected. And rook d1 is a good move. Now if I take, the knight on d4 will be hanging in the end. So, but if I move the knight, then it's hanging on d5 as well. What did I do here? What have I done? Is there a way to get out of this mess? Knight b5, rook takes d5, knight c3, but that's not... I mean, generally speaking, when you have a material advantage, you should look for something simpler than these tactics. I do believe it works for me, but it's completely unnecessary to having even to calculate such a line when you have two extra pawns for free. I actually don't have that much time in this game either. But I have a couple of extra pawns, which will be very useful. So thanks for the game. Krakulu, fighting well, of course. Let's see who to play. Now I see. But it takes a bit of time. Now I have a lot of challenges by pirates. Let's go with time control. Anonymous 1596 is challenging me to a casual bullet game. Let's play a bullet game to get some speed in this. If he's still there, from India. It's the first Indian. I lost to an Indian yesterday I was playing the title Tuesday on chess.com. And there I lost to this very strong kid. I was doing very well. I was, I think, much better. But then it started to be complicated, and he tricked me quite quickly after complications started. Whoops, what did I do now? Oof, rook h1 was winning. I allowed some things that I really should not allow. Not playing well in this bullet game. But he also missed something here. The rook was hanging. So now, yeah, now it should be fairly easy. But this one, this was too tiring, this bullet. Also, it's difficult to be in time to explain. Let's just play with someone else. Sri Lanka. Wow. And Ellen is raiding. Thank you very much, Ellen. How was your stream today? Did you manage to play some chess? And welcome all fans of Ellen, of course. To which I include myself. You should definitely check out Ellen streaming. She's very entertaining. After training with me, she's exhausted. That sounds good. That's how it should be. So we, for those of you who did not visit Ellen's stream, she probably was speaking about the training with me. But I think chess training should be exhausting. It sounds like I did a good job if you're exhausted after training. Vestige Prestige. Yeah, challenges are picked randomly, so you do not have to worry. You can just wait and see if you are lucky. That is the only way. So let's see. Yeah, I mean, this what he allowed in the beginning with Queen B3 is a bit of a trick. When the bishop leaves C8 too early, then sometimes you can put pressure on the pawn on B7, and well, in this case, this pressure was enough to win me a pawn, which of course is a very good start. Not sure if I managed to utilize my advantage in the most convincing fashion. I think black actually has some compensation now because of how slowly I played this. Rook b8 is a very decent move. And the big question for me here is, where should I put my king? Because I could put it on the queen side, but then his open b file is a bit disturbing. Could also put it on the king side, but then this double pawn is unpleasant as well. So for the time being, I will just delay the decision and hope that I will get wiser by time. But probably I will castle short and play king h1. That's the most likely scenario here. Yeah, so probably bishop d3 to cover the square on e4 and c4. Mainly the square on e4. And next move, most probably I will castle short if he doesn't threaten me in any way. Especially now that the queen went to c7, then it can no longer pair on the queen side, on the king side. So yeah, and I'm a stable pawn up at two open files. Especially the b file could be slightly problematic, but not enough for full compensation, let's say. if I manage to trade queens, I will be winning with the extra pawn. So yeah, what else? I mean, nothing really. This I have the bishop pair. It's nice, but it's not a big factor here. The big factor is that I'm a pawn up. That is what it's all about here. So now the question: where should I put my knight? I can also just go home. I mean, this is very, very solid to play knight e2. Yeah, and my opponent does not have that much time either, so with only 15 seconds, it's next to impossible to defend this, I believe. So just bring. No! What did I do? Queen h4. I think queen h4 was huge. It was threatening mate in 2 with queen takes f2, and I'm not sure I could have defended actually. Wow. Queen h4. Oof, now he's intending queen h4, but now it comes too late because now I kick his knight. But that was very lucky by me. I relaxed way too much when my opponent got low on time. But thank you for the game, Glisrox. Let's play with Enrique RGH from Mexico. Knight stronger than bishops in bullet. Maybe in bullet, but in chess in general, definitely not. Should I play the same gambit? I will play another Budapest gambit. Let's see. Bishop f4. Let's go bishop b4 check. Chess god smile on me today. Yeah, that is certainly true. Yeah. But luck also favors the brave, they say. So I'm hoping that goes for me as well. Queen f d5 is interesting, but I think... Do you play f6 first or do you take first, or it doesn't matter? Probably it doesn't matter, but let me take first, play f6. Pass pawn 999, how are you today? And e3, okay, e3 is interesting. Usually, I think g3 is the more common move. The more critical move in theoretical terms. But e3 is very solid as well, just developing the pieces. Getting castled, putting everything in order. And I have to look out for some tricks with rook b1. I have to protect with b6 and then bishop g5 or something like that. Let's see. So yeah, in general I'm a pawn down, but I have nice open files on the E line and F line. E file and F file, and then these two pawns, they are quite weak and also immobile, so it's very hard for white to sort of make a pawn break here or to push. So that is basically what the compensation consists of. So yeah, maybe bishop g6 followed by... In general, I would like to go knight e4 at some point, because the e4 square in general is very nice for me here. c5 is interesting. This is a very common theme in this line, that you give a pawn. But I will take it and see what the idea is. I guess maybe something like queen b5, and I can't play b6 because the knight is hanging. Something like that. I have definitely seen the c5 counter sacrifice before. Just not in exactly this moment, which I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm forgetting, or simply a lack of knowledge. It could also be that it simply is not as strong as in the other cases. So now I do have everything protected here. Okay, check. That makes a lot of sense. Now there is actually a big question. Should I move the king? I think I will move the king. I could also trade the bishop. That would be very solid, but less ambitious. G4. G4 is very optimistic. Past Pawn is wondering whether this opening that I'm playing, the Budapest Gambit, whether it's sound. And the short answer is that I strongly doubt that it's sound. It feels to me like most probably it is not sound. But in Blitz it's possible to do a lot of slightly risky things or slightly dubious things. If you know them well and you know how to handle them, then you can usually turn the game around. And it certainly isn't losing by any means, it's just a little bit better for white with correct play. Yeah, G4 is very risky, I agree. So now the move that I would like to play is to play knight e4. Because the e4 square in general is the good square for the knight. But then maybe rook d7 comes, which I do not really like. So what else can I do? Maybe queen e4. Yeah, queen e4 looks strange, but the thing is that in the ending the pawn on c3 is weak as well, and I could hope to get something going with my majority of pawns. So let's see. Yeah, he goes rook d7, which is the critical move, but now I will take on c3. And okay, he goes a4, but a4 I think I can just take probably, yeah? I think I will just take now and push everything and hope that some of my pawns will survive. But it's not a simple task this. I'm a pawn up now, but if my opponent had a bit more time, then this would be an open fight actually. Yeah, now very low on time, it's not so easy to avoid knight forks, as someone said in chat that knights are maybe as strong as bishops when the time is very limited. I can only agree, which we saw here. Let's see now. Wow, and we have Grandmaster Howell challenging, so let's play one game against a very, very strong opponent. One game in which I will be a clear underdog. And he goes for the Petrov, yeah, the fans' favorite. The most boring opening there is out there. So this is Grandmaster David Howell. And my score against him so far is... what is my score? Is very bad at least. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but it's not great at all. So, let's see. Ah, knight c6. This is an interesting move. So bishop takes e4, he can play d5 and... win back the piece, so I can't really take it immediately. I have a feeling he is freestyling because I know that he's a big expert in the Caro-Kann defense, not in this Petrov defense. So it could be, considering his time management, that he is indeed freestyling this, which for me would be excellent news. Let's see now. Bishop c4. So as you can see, he has almost 200 points higher rating than me. So this will certainly be a very very tough game. But I will not give up without a fight. I will fight very hard. How will I do that? Queen f3? Let's go queen f3. He goes knight e6, yeah. But knight e6 is probably a very decent move. So my idea was to take on e6, inviting him to either sacrifice the pawn on b7 or take with the f pawn, which would ruin his structure somewhat. But I'm not sure at all about what I'm doing here. I think he should take with the bishop, queen takes b7 and take on e5, after which I will be able to win a pawn. But he will also be getting excellent compensation. But on the other hand, if I don't take the pawn, I will just be worse, so I have to take it. And now, okay, let's go queen b. Well, queen c6. There is bishop d7. So queen b5 makes more sense. Yeah, I'm not sure why Mr. Howell does not have his grandmaster title in his username. Because he is certainly not anonymous. Because he is playing a lot, and he is not hiding his identity at all. I think bishop d6 will be played now, and if I take on g7, he goes long castle. Ah, he does not, okay. That is quite interesting that he does not do that. Maybe he found a better move. Let's just castle. He found a more solid move, I think. That's what happened. But I also have a solid position now. I'm a pawn up. I do not believe that I should have grounds for complaining here. Maybe I'm not better, but I think I'm definitely not worse. Queen b7 played. Now the question is, should I try to be funny or should I try to be reasonable? Because funny would be bishop h6. I think long castle. And then I'm not too pleased with my position, so guess I should do something more sane or more boring if you so wish. But also he's very fast, so I should speed up. Otherwise I will get flagged one day. What is this now? Okay, just like, I mean, I will now play simple chess. He can go bishop f3, bishop d5 and take. Doesn't worry me that much. Should it? Let's go b3, bishop b2. I am absolutely sure that it's Mr. Howe. I think he will confirm in chat after the game, but I'm fairly sure, yeah. Or very sure even. Maybe he has this account because, yeah, at some point when he played previously, he would, I mean, he liked to be anonymous. But then, bit by bit, he got less anonymous, and now it no longer makes any sense not to have the title. That would be my guess, but I'm sure he will provide some insight himself very soon. So what is going on here? We have a minute each. Or slightly less than a minute each. And nothing much is going on. I mean, it's not a super exciting position. I should be a bit faster. Now I allowed bishop b4. Trapping my queen. Do I have a trick? Do I have queen d4? I hope I have it. Bishop f4, now queen c4, but maybe queen c4 does not help. Okay, let's just go queen e2. This will be quite drawish now. If he takes, I am no longer better. He goes bishop d5, okay. Yeah, I'm not too thrilled with what I did. I have one trick, bishop e5, queen e3. He can't take due to mate. Now actually I'm significantly better. Check. Bishop a3. Here I'm actually just winning, I think. Let's take and take. Now I'm actually winning. That was a very surprising turn of events, I have to say. Will I be in time to win it? This is another question. I think I might actually be in time. Ah, it's 3+1, I just realized. I thought actually we were playing 3+0. That is probably good for me, because when you are winning you don't want this time to be a factor at all, actually. Okay, let's go b5. I should really be winning, but I mean, I also should not relax, because it's very possible not to win such a position. Let's go knight d5, I guess. Allowing c6. How do I win this now? Let's go knight d3, maybe go knight d5 next. Mm-hmm. Feels winning now, but you can see here what class this is. He's really defending very, very well. But hopefully not well enough. Let's see here. What do I do now? Now I think I'm winning. Because now this king f4 is very, very nice. So he resigned. Okay, thank you very much for the game, David. I'm sure if we played a rated game, he would have tricked me somewhere. Now he relaxed. But yeah, it was a nice fight. And now, if he's in chat, he should confirm his identity. And let's go another one. Play with Jack. Let's see, 96. And yeah, sorry for not having time to read chat. Playing such a strong player, I really had to focus and do my best. Not even to win, but just to not lose embarrassingly. And again, I'm playing a German who knows a lot of theory here. This, I think, if I recall correctly, this is super dangerous for me. Some rook e1 with knight d5 sacrifices could be coming and so on. So castle. But g3 I think is not the correct way, because g3 weakens the light squares, and black did win the light square bishop, so now my bishop has the potential to become really strong. It will not be relevant for the next 10 moves or so, but someday these weaknesses will they will tell. So let's see, c5. Yeah, now rook b8, maybe rook b4. So yeah, now the pawn on e4, like generally you would probably want to protect it with pawn on f3 and put this chain to block my play a bit. Here you cannot, so here I think e4 is very, very dangerous. So takes, and takes is my ID. And I do not believe that his move stopped it. If I see everything correctly, I can still pick up the pawn. And the thing is, without the pawn now, because of this move g3 and f4, then his king is very, very weak. My bishop is very strong on this diagonal, so he goes for the best try, I would assume, which is to try to deliver mate, but I'm protecting with the queen. And now the big question is, how do I do this in the most convincing way? So I wanted to play bishop b7, queen c6. Yeah, I do believe now that this is very, very, very dangerous for white. Simply this battery with the bishop and the queen and the weaknesses there. Okay, king d2, king f2 is interesting. Now if I give a check, he will run with the king actually to safety on the queen side, so I should not allow him to do that. I think I'll play e5. Just now if he takes, but he has check. Yeah, I missed this check. Now he can even, but I cannot take with the rook. Yeah, I'm a bit lucky here that I have can take and give this check, and I have queen e3 check. Picking up. No, I don't. There is queen e2. Yikes. Wow. And now my opponent offers me a draw. In general, I am not really accepting draws, but I am definitely worse here. Is there a way to trick him? I guess I need to play, of course. If he plays queen, yeah, but queen f1 is very solid. If he goes king d2, then I can take an h2, and I'm worse, but I can fight. But this is much more problematic. I guess I will take and play bishop e4. But this will end in a draw. This will definitely end in a draw. Yeah. What did I do here? Will I even have to fight a bit for the draw? Probably not. I will try to push the pawn. It's a little bit risky what I'm doing now, but also a bit risky by him. Yeah, now it's just a draw. And such a gentleman agreeing to a draw here. But with 4 seconds I would be able to play quite a lot of moves. So yeah, thanks for the game. It's a big fight, and thank you also for the raid with Chiquitas. Chiquitas was raiding. Very nicely done. We are just playing some games. Now I will play against a player called Noob 1728. Thank you, Laura. Indeed. Let's play some other opening here. Play this gambit instead. This is the Volga gambit, or the Benka gambit. So previously they always recaptured immediately on a6, but now they are in general delaying this capture a bit. How is it they do? I think they asked castle to go queen a5 and put quick pressure on the pawn on e4. I think this is how it's done. Now with bishop d3, I do believe that it's possible to capture on d5. So in general, black is sacrificing a pawn. Okay, currently 2, but I will win back this pawn. And then the point is that the files on the a file and the b file are very useful. And here is an interesting thing. Even though you are a pawn down, it generally benefits black to trade queens, because the pressure in the ending is actually quite big. Whereas in the middle game, white can generate counterplay against the black king. So that's why, yeah, queen d1 is actually an excellent move, simply avoiding the queen trade. Keeping the queen, and I think we are actually following some theoretical line now. Let's see here. I want to play queen c4, but on the one hand I want to do it, on the other hand it looks very wrong. So then why do I want it? I will do it anyway. It's at least it's a bit provocative as well, which sort of suits my style a bit. So I want him to think about whether he can trap my queen or something like that, and then hope that I will survive. Can I play rook b3 now? Even queen b3 actually. I did say myself that I wanted to trade queen, so it makes a lot of sense. But the thing I want to do in general, if I get some time, is to remove this bishop to open up for this diagonal here. So probably now is as good a time as any. Knight g4. Rook a3. I did not see this coming. Usually you can do some tricks, but here you cannot, so I have to retreat. But this allows knight b5, which is a very useful thing for white. Because that makes the whole construction much more solid. Yeah, now I think white has managed to stabilize. I really do not like my position here. I will have to try some tricks, but this setup is very, very good for white to have the knight on b5 with the pawns on b3 and a4. It gives an incredible solidity to the position. Hang on, there is a check, but it's a useless check, I think. My style is like Anatoly Karpov. Well, I think I would have to respectfully disagree. Of course, it's a compliment, but my style, I think, is more active and, let's say, less sound. In my opinion, this of course can be debated. Styles in general can always be debated, but Rook C. This I don't really understand. His last move. Is it time for me to actually generate counterplay in the center? Maybe. I'm losing my solidity after e6. Like, this structure was very nice, but I'm trying to gain concrete counterplay. Against the center of his. Okay, so bishop d4. Thank you very much, Petrochance. What is my favorite endgame? I don't really have a favorite endgame, unfortunately. In general, endgames, they just sort of happen, yeah, and then you will have to play what you get. What did I do now? I mean, my intention was to take. The knight takes d4, e takes there, he just moves the queen. I think that's a pretty bad position, so I think... Yeah, but I'm getting outplayed here, actually, to be honest. By noob. 17-28. I'm... Oh, yeah, this really was not great. Simply missed that the pawn was hanging. Okay, now I will have to gamble on some very unsound counterattack, but yeah, this is not great. How do I trick my opponent here? Is the big question. Let's go rook a6. At least I have a threat now with rook f6. Can I hope that he misses it? But there is no reason why he would miss it, actually. Bishop g5 played, okay. Let's go h6. If he takes, I will go rook f6. So he does not. Now, do I have anything? Let's go knight f4. Okay, I'm actually generating some play here. I mean, probably not enough, but there is some. I have some cheapos now, like knight takes h3 is a threat. This, I think I will have to move my queen. Let's see here. Wow. I think he blundered the piece. Which is very good news for me. Still, I have to be careful about this pawn, but... winning a piece should be a very good start, at least. This was very lucky. What do I do now? Check. Bishop takes or rook takes? Guess rook takes. If rook takes, maybe the simplest is to capture the other rook instead, actually. Because then I will pick up this pawn here. Oof, this was such a lucky save, yeah? Such a lucky save. And Miras, how are you, Miras? Welcome. No reggae music today, no. Today I'm focusing on my games too much for the music. So here, very well played to a noob from Finland. He outplayed me completely until he unfortunately blundered a pawn. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, for the challenges... Hang on, let me try to see if... I have a 160. Let's try 160. Against Crystal Ritz. And this is now 9 if he's there still. Just to mix it up a little bit, try some different things. So knight f3, normally speaking you should take the center, so d5 I guess. First to watch out for anything that is not protected in the position. But I think everything is protected so far. Can I play b6 now? Go with the bishop to a6. Check. Always nice when you when you force your opponent's king to move, because then you know that there will not be any surprising castle. I have tricked many opponents with castling at a surprising moment in chess 960. Generally speaking, it's more me tricking my opponents in that way, I think, and they are dominating me in the normal chess part. So yeah, I want to develop my knight and then play. Let's go here. This is actually very little time. I'm not sure why we are playing with almost no time. It makes it quite exciting, but also quite demanding. Let's go queen d7. I'm actually I have to speed up here a bit. Do I have a trick? Probably not. At least I have a pawn now. Yeah, check. Yeah, but this is too... I think for chess 960 we need more time. This is too complicated to play with such a little time. Yeah, and also, yes, half plus 1 is a very strange time control. Yeah, I don't know, because we did not really have time to discuss the opening, so... in general, this half minute is very, very tough. Let's play with butcher chess. Or butcher chess. Some French, maybe. No flag, as far as I can tell. Butcher chess. Let's go e5. And thank you, Petrashans. Yeah, I'm also very content with the Grandelius handle. Let's go d6. So here, let me try this new, not exactly new, but an interesting system that I saw some game with recently. So here, okay, this is all very, very normal. This is one of the main lines of the Italian. But now, my point is that I want to push the pawns. Now after bishop g5 it becomes a bit easier, but even if he played a move like rook e1, I would have tried to push h6 g5. Bishop e3 played. That makes the ideas with g5 less tempting, but... Well, now that I promised I will do it anyway. He plays d4, then I will go queen e7 to avoid the queen trade. This, I believe, is not so bad for black. Oh, hang on. I made a big mistake here. I took with the rook, but in fact I should take with the knight, because then I keep my option of castling long. Now I am no longer allowed to castle long, which is a big pity. Yeah, this was definitely not the best way to do it. d4 now. Okay, now it gets very tense. Now I can take it and play g4. I can also play g4 immediately. In both cases, I have some pressure, but maybe bishop g4 to be able to take with the knight. I don't really know. Should you play systemic openings as a beginner? This is an interesting question. I think you should play solid openings. You should play logical openings. You should try, for instance, to play in the center as much as possible. You should not play any of these fancy, strange flank systems. You should play solid and strategic chess. And as long as you do that, you will be able to learn a lot about chess in general from every game. not just some specific traps or tricks. So, but you don't need to play systemic opening, like some systems, like always the same moves. This is not necessary, I believe. I go g4 because if knight h4, I want to take on a4. This was a trick. And now I just intend to push and hope that I will create some pressure against his king. But my main problem is that this knight is very bad. Probably I would play a5. If he takes, I take with the rook. Now with knight b3, I can actually take on a4. And if he does something else, then the knight will come to c5, which is very useful for me. I think this is a big improvement for black to get the knight out of the way there to a good square rather than a useless square on d8. I could have gone c6 as pointed out by Dr. Meilheimer, but I was not entirely sure what would happen after that. But it was definitely one of the main possibilities. Here I'm a bit curious. Danish Gambit is interesting. Yeah, now I've one of the strangest double attacks that I have seen in quite a while. Because of this knight, the rooks can't really help each other, which means that I'm winning an exchange, which of course is a very good start. So we're playing 3+0, so actually we're getting a bit low on time. Sylvain chess, yeah, you are right, yeah, and this was the same idea that I played. Very strange tactic. It's very rare. I'm not sure even that I saw it before, but it did seem to work very well. So let's take with the rook probably. So his idea now must be to get some counterattack against my king. Now if queen f2, I think he will play queen f2 to get some play against my king. Not sure. Ah, he doesn't, okay. Let's go rook a2, because I had a cute idea there. If it goes queen f2, I wanted to take on h2. Sacrificing the queen, but in order to just trade more pieces. Which I think would be very good. Yeah, now I'm getting confused, so I will just trade. I will play it not in the best way, but in the most solid way. Hang on, what do I do now? g3. Take with the bishop. f5. Yeah, and timeout, but also position, yeah. Two rooks for a queen is bad if they have their queen. Well, this is very difficult to decide. Two rooks and a queen are usually of more or less equivalent strength. Let's see here. What is this? Let's play another. Grammatikov is challenging to a 2+0. 2+0 is a time control that I play very, very rarely. And yeah, as I said, I'm sort of, yeah, I'm browsing, but I don't really have any criteria. I'm just picking challenges at random. So no need to beg in chat. Not for yourself, but neither for someone else. This is an interesting way to play, but the point is that if I take, he will open up the H file. The problem is that I don't think I'm mated if I open up the H file. I think I can just take it. Without the bishop here, then the queen would come to H4, which would be very dangerous. But now I'm in time to stop the queen, so this I think is just very, very good for me. So he can take, but then I take on g7. I think this is very good. And if it doesn't, queen takes g7 is scary, because then actually he does play queen h4. So I should do something else. Probably rook e1. With idea to play bishop g5. And basically I'm a piece up, so this should be smooth sailing. Rook takes e6 won the queen, which I missed. And now, yeah. This is too aggressive from black. This h5, knight g4, sometimes it works, but then you have to have control of the center. If you don't have control in the center, it's very unlikely that it works. Let's play one game with Vestige Prestige. 3+2, this is. Exactly, Flash of Steel, and this is correct. Play King's Gambit. This is an interesting suggestion, but now I'm black. Vestige Prestige from the US. He was in the chat previously, so he is definitely around somewhere, but let's see if he's there. Gladiator Maximus, good evening. Are you here? Vestige, Prestige. Albin counter gambit. I will try Albin's counter gambit if I am allowed. d4, d5, c4, e5. But my opponent is not here, so I think I will have to abort the game actually. Ah no, he plays finally, but he plays c3, which does not really lend itself to gambit play. Let's play this gambit anyway. But he doesn't. I think you should take. Now I can just advance, so now I have an excellent version of these positions. If he goes knight e5, I think the knight is trapped. If he goes knight d2, I think I will play e3 actually. Yeah, this is quite problematic for white, I think. Maybe the best move is to go all the way back, but that is a bit sad. Knight g5 played, okay. Interesting. So I think I'm very confused now. Let's play c5. Evans Gambit. Evans Gambit is as well. Yeah, I believe Evans Gambit is quite reasonable actually. Well, to say that I'm a fan is maybe a bit strong, but I don't dislike the Evans Gambit, let's say. Let's put it that way. Okay, knight c6. Yeah, the question is, should I play h6 g5, which is suggested, or should I delay it for a bit? I can do it. The advantage is that the knight becomes very clumsy on h3. Disadvantage after g5, you can go bishop e5, and it's all a bit unpleasant for my pieces. I'm also curious what his next move. I think I will go solid. But yeah, definitely tempting to go h6 g5 as well. So let's see, yeah. He goes h3, and this is now, I think, a major mistake, because after h6 the knight can no longer come back, so... He took immediately on f7, which indicates that it's a sacrifice. But I think it's a bit too optimistic. I think when I have such a solid center, it's very unlikely that I will be in danger of getting mated. Yeah, with such an attack where you give a knight, for instance, on f7, then you need to be able to open up the center and get your pieces quickly into play. And here, when I have the control of basically all the squares, then there is simply no compensation. Timoila, Kasparov mentioned that the Evans Gambit was the only working gambit. I mean, I think it's a bit of a stretch. That depends also on your definition of gambit play, but... let's say it's not such a bad gambit in general. It has a lot of positional foundation, because you give a pawn on the flank to get more play in the center, but and it is played from time to time on the highest level, but it definitely isn't you know, something that keeps you awake at night as a professional playing 1 e5 with black. It is not the scariest of lines. But if you're not prepared, it could be tricky to handle, definitely. Yeah, I mean, we have the Marshall Gambit and the Queen's Gambit, Queen's Gambit and so on, which are sort of... I mean, it's even a bit strange to call them gambits, because you can win back the material immediately. Not in the Marshall, but sort of, it's still very solid. Evans Gambit is sort of a real gambit. There, very often you do not get your pawn back for the rest of the game. Smith Mora is, I think, worse than the Evans Gambit. But I'm not. I mean, this could definitely be argued against as well. I know of some people that believe that the Mora is not bad at all, in fact. I mean, now we have too many of the too many gambits in question, but the Queen's Gambit is of course an excellent TV series, but also a very decent opening. But yeah, that's my point, Skakhund, that it's hard to say that it's a real gambit, because you do get the material back immediately. Vienna Gambit, I mean, nobody really knows. It wasn't seen at top level for such a long time, so I think nobody remembers anything about the theoretical status of the opening. Kasparov must have been in a very optimistic mood if he mentioned all these very dubious openings and saying that he liked them. Because they really are not solid openings. Oh, I blundered my queen! Wow! Oof, I forgot that it was hanging. Ay, ay, ay. No. Spending too much time discussing gambits in chats and too little time actually playing. Wow. This will now be very tricky, actually. How do I do this? Wow. Luckily I'm picking up the queen back, but oof, 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 ay, ay, ay. And yeah, now I managed to survive, but that was scary for a while there. Oof. Botas Gambit was actually suggested in chat, so I can pretend that I was trying to make the Botas Gambit. It became very close, yeah. Oof. No, sorry about that. And very well played to Vestige Prestige. He was definitely winning there after my blunder. Let's play another game against Makodesh. And now let's see which gambit I'm allowed to play. Thank you, Vestige Prestige. Now we mentioned the Mora, so let's do it. This is now the Mora gambit. And he plays e6, okay. Which means that I no longer know any theory. How does this work? Sometimes they play with a6, sometimes no. I think you go queen e2, rook d1, and bishop f4. Now I'm threatening e5. Ah! So that's why. I think because usually, as far as I remembered or knew, then they played a6, and presumably it is to stop knight b5 here. So yeah, what is this now? Bishop g5, I guess. I can also attack the pawn. Yeah, I will do that. Forcing e5 and then go bishop g5. Not sure if it's a better or worse version. The point is now next move I want to take. And if he takes with the bishop, then I take on d6. I'm very happy with. And if he takes with the pawn, then and then this square on f5 is very, very weak. Basically now these two squares will give me positional compensation. It's not at all about like an attack against my opponent's king anymore. It's more about having very, very long-term compensation here. Just jumping with my knights on the weak squares. And yeah, playing this slowly I think is fine. If at some moment he goes knight d4 later on, I can even give a rook for it, because this bishop is so passive on e7. That is sort of my general feeling or general take on what is going on. Yeah, so knight d4. I'm tempted, of course, he does play it, yeah. I'm tempted to take it, but on the other hand, it's also completely unnecessary. It's also very tempting. I don't know what to do. I think I have to, I mean, because it's such a nice position, positionally speaking. I mean, it's just it's looking too good, like just visually. But it's objectively speaking, I'm maybe, well, worse I am not, but I might not be better, or at least not much better. But let's say, aesthetically speaking, I'm doing incredibly well. So let's say he goes rook d. I mean, my point was actually to go slowly, rook c2, queen c2, rook c7. But I do have other options as well. After rook d8, he can no longer run in that direction, so I guess queen h5 is very, very good. Now knight g7, yeah, protecting the pawn. And actually, it's already checkmate. I think I will. This was actually quite a cute final position. Thank you for the game, by the way, Makodes. It was actually quite cute how it transpired, but the best bug house opening. Yeah, this. Let me just start the game. Let's play with someone whose mouse is very bad. My mouse is very bad. The best bug house opening is a bit. Let's play the king's. No, let's play the Evans Gambit first, and the King's Gambit next. In bug house, I don't really know, to be honest. This is the Evans Gambit. Yeah, you sacrifice a lot of material to get a lot of initiative. In bug house, you play normal. You just develop the pieces in the center. I don't really know theory, I have to say. Difficult to say. He takes. Okay, then shot castle. d6 is passive. I think now I can recapture. Now I should have excellent compensation here. So what if I play e5 takes, then he can trade queen. So this should be avoided. How? Queen b3? Queen b3, then he castles, then I go e5. Is that something? It's possible to play this in an incredibly aggressive fashion as well, but might be too much. I think I will do it, just for the fun of it. Yeah, knight g5 or bishop g5 were both tempting moves as well, especially bishop g5 was very tempting. Now I have an idea which is definitely unsound, but very, very tempting. No. Oof. Let's see now. I mean, d5, he moves the knight, I give check, he plays c6. This I'm not sure whether it works or not. But my idea was actually just to go bishop a3. I'm hoping that he will take on d4, then I'm 3 pawns down, but his king is stuck in the center. Point of bishop a3 is to stop him from castling. He goes e4, which is much more sane, but knight g5. I don't know. I mean, probably it isn't entirely sound, but it's also very, very scary for black. This, I'm quite pleased with my position actually. Knight d5 played. I can take here now. That's one option. Very tempting one. He takes with the king. I go queen h5. He goes g6. Not sure. This is also, I mean, it's also very solid to take here. Knight b6, but knight b6 doesn't really help the key issue for him, which is that his king is stuck in the center. He should do something that addresses that fact. Let's maybe go queen. I mean, queen e2 is cute, but is it actually a good move? Let's try it. But now he will go, yeah, no, this queen e2 is too much. I mean, I'm hoping to get knight f6 check, but this is... For all of you out there, this is not how you're supposed to play chess. You should not play for tricks. You should try to play well. And this is definitely not playing well. This is playing exclusively for tricks. Still very difficult position for black to defend in the blitz game, but at some point it was also objectively speaking very good for me, I guess, which it no longer is, I would assume. Bishop b4, this is a good move because now he's actually trying to get castled. So big question, how can I avoid that? I guess knight c5. If he castles, at least I pick up e6, which is very useful. But I still think that he should castle. He has to get his king into safety. This queen d6 is very, very scary because with the knight here you cannot castle on either side because I'm covering, and that should be it. But okay, knight c5. Maybe it isn't as clear as I thought. Now it is, because now I have this fork here. Propose a take back in a casual... Okay, we will take one move back. Why not? Take backs in general is very strange, but why not? This is a casual game, so... Not sure actually what the official Lichess culture is. Should you in general take back in casual games, or should you sort of punish opponents? Actually, my time is a bit low. Let's see here. But I have enough, I think. I understand that there is an option to disable take back, but just what is the general... My proposed take back, definitely not. See here there is no reason to... I mean, what is the take back for? Yeah, like it was already many moves ago. Now there will be checkmate. Checkmate! He actually did not get flagged. Which was impressive, considering how little time he had. Yeah, no, exactly. This is my question. Yeah, in general, I mean, I have to admit, it's very, very rare that I do agree to take backs. But on the other hand, I mean, also who cares? Yeah, it's fine. Let's play Amireza from Iran. And now what do we have? We have the Albin's counter gambit against d4. But he plays bishop g5, which is the only move which does not allow... it does not allow the gambit, the counter gambit. Okay, let's go c5. Yeah, asking for take back once because maybe you slipped or you lost concentration for a bit. But asking more than once, I agree. That is a bit... that is definitely a bit strange, yeah. Okay, let's see. Yeah, normally it ought to be a mouse slip for a take back. That makes a lot of sense. So here actually I intended to play a sharp game, but we have gotten a mega boring one. In which I have the bishop pair, slightly... a slight strategic long-term advantage, but it's definitely not fire on the board. Which was my hope. Let's see if I can maybe try to deliver mate. Because mate is definitely an indication of fire. c4 played, good move. Now I'm not in time to go bishop g7 actually. What is this now? Actually, am I even better here? This is a big question. I have definitely misplayed my hand a bit. Probably bishop d5 makes a lot of sense. Just to stop him from moving the knight here, then I will collect on a2. I do have the bishop, yeah, I am still better, but not by much, I think. Knight e4. Now probably I am quite a bit better, because now I'm winning a pawn. A useful pawn, should be said. Also bishop b4 check. King d3, he's going for the attack. He's trying to attack me with his king. Let's see, what should I do? Bishop c3, he goes king c5. It's very close to mate now, let's see here. This cannot survive. But how do I mate? I guess rook c8 if he allows it. There is also rook d8 and rook d5, but then he can go rook d1. Yeah, f6 would have won a piece on the last move, but I'm trying to deliver mate. So mate would be it would be fun to give mate actually. It happens quite rarely that you're allowed to give mate on the board. Let's see now. Okay, so check. Check. If he goes there, he resigned actually, yeah, because he's. I can, for instance, pick up a piece, an additional piece. Thank you for the game. There's got to be a mate. Yeah, I mean, I do believe I missed a mate, but where was it? I mean, this we don't know. Let's play a game with Troy Boy. And after this game, now which gambit? No, I know which gambit I will play. I will play something. Or should I play? I'm very curious. Let's play this. The problem with e4, e5, it takes a couple of moves before you can play a gambit. a6, now f5. This was my ID. And of course, the critical try is to play d4 instead. d3 is a bit passive, but presumably a very decent move as well. Latvian gambit is so incredibly bad. Yeah, I did not want to play it. Latvian gambit is king's gambit tempo down. I mean, how good does it sound? But of course, yeah, in blitz it's possible, of course. Definitely. Now, yeah, probably I should play bishop g4. Okay, I think if he allows, then I will castle. If he stop me with bishop e3, then I would play bishop g4. This is Schliemann. Yeah, there is an opening called Schliemann or Janisch gambit. But then usually you play it without a6. You play this f5 on move 3 instead. Elephant Gambit, National Master Dale. Elephant Gambit was actually what I was intending. But then I changed my mind. Partly because the last time I streamed here, I did play the Elephant Gambit a couple of games. I wanted to try something else. Now some ideas with Queen G6. Nachmanson, actually, I'm not entirely sure. Can anyone in chat enlighten me? What are the moves in the Nachmanson? I always forget. Like all these internet openings, I'm not sure whether sure of their names always. I have definitely heard the name, but I'm just very forgetful about what it is. Let's see here. So I'm threatening the pawn on e4, but I'm also threatening the pawn on h3 due to the pin here. So this I do believe is quite promising for me. So yeah, one option is to take on h3. This is the most tempting of the options, but it takes back. Then I play h6, and is that the best I think it's good enough at least. This is the Nachmanson. Yeah. I saw. But I think it has another name, no, an older name. I know the line, yeah. But it has actually been around for many years. As a kid, I played against it from time to time. In these youth tournaments, I just did not know the proper name. Okay, let's take. Yeah, I think because we are somewhat running out of time, so I think I will wrap up with some bullet. Last couple of games will be bullet because then there is no longer any time. Just to get a couple of more games instead of just one. Yeah, this Nachmanson, it starts as a Scottish Gambit or a Scotch, and then no Scottish Gambit actually, and then it sort of transfers into the Nachmanson. So my idea is quite simple and quite I mean it's not very subtle, let's say. It's very caveman style. I will just triple on the h file and hope that there is a mate. Let's see. Can he defend? Also, he's running very low on time, which I think is good news for me. Queen g3 played, okay. The point is king g2 now. He will defend with king... but he doesn't play king g2. He needed, I think, to play king g2. This must be... How do I do this in the cleanest fashion? Probably this. And take. And rook f2. It's... I thought it was checkmate. It is checkmate, yeah, because... I have this check here and then there is checkmate. So good game by Troy, but need to look up the strange gambits. And now let's finish up with some bullets. If he is there, is it the pirate flag? It's double flag actually. Yeah, good game. But is he playing? So this now I will play the Stafford Gambit. Yeah, I will try at least. But my opponent is not really... he's playing now. Let's play h5. This is a modern trick. To go h4, h5, h4. But it's not very good, I think. I doubt that it's very good. But it's very aggressive, which is what we like in bullet. What is this now? Maybe short castle. Okay, now this was good news for me because now everything is hanging here. I'm Reza. Yeah. Thanks for the game, I'm Reza. Good game. Yeah, here I think I ate too much of his pieces. Too many of his pieces. Should be. And checkmate. Good game, good game. I will now only accept 1 plus 0. Let's see here. Where are the 1 plus 0s? Zelarox. Good luck. Let's play this. Now I'm threatening to take on g7. Okay, g6, but now the dark squares around the king they are quite weak. So this is very useful. For me, I think some knight g5, knight takes f7 would probably be very good soon. Hang on here. What did I do now? Actually, rook f8 I think is mate if it takes it. King e7, king queen g7, he goes back, I take, and then I take the bishop. So yeah, this actually does look like mate. Check, and next move checkmate. So good game Zelarox. And let's pick another one. A lot of bullet challenges now, which is very nice. And Zelarox, yeah, good game. Let's play another Mora Gambit. He plays c. Wow, my opponent here is really fast actually. Can I jump? Let's jump. Wing Gambit, Flash of Steel. Sorry, yeah, I should have of course played the Wing Gambit. I forgot. My bad. Sorry about that. Let's see now. He will play f6, yeah, and there is no mate. That's a bit of a pity. F5 instead. That's very friskly played, let's say. It's a bit risky. This is actually a rated game. Always interesting when it's rated. Let's go f4. Bishop d3. Now I no longer have... now there is a check. But the check is not that scary. I'm a bit lucky there. And now I'm a bit unlucky. And now I'm a bit lucky. He could have taken with the bishop. Would have won a lot of material. He's playing very fast. Which is quite scary. In these settings. And he resigned. Okay, good game. This was... He played... You were fighting very well there. Very nice game. I was definitely not keeping everything under control. Now let's play a game with Atjo. If he's there. Atjo is a Lichess patron, I see, from Hungary. And having played all the different disciplines, I think. Let's see, what gambit can I play here? picking up a piece. Good news. And check, and my opponent was playing very fast, but maybe even too fast, yeah? It's a very difficult balance because you have to play very fast not to lose on time, but you also have to play very well. Silver Fox from Greece. I have not played anyone from Greece in quite a while. This we had another game of before. It's Queen B3, I think is very strong here. I won a blitz game in the beginning of the stream with this opening. So I'm quite content with my chances. Let's see here. It's just castle. Let's take. Why not? It's fun. Also, I think it's actually pretty good here. It's queen sacrifice because now I'm winning the queen back. And I have a piece up. So I'm intending check and checkmate. I think it's checkmate. Okay, good game, Silver Fox. So I will play, I think, one... thank you, yeah, Rook B7 actually worked. Rook B7 saved the queen. I would still have a lot of material, but it would be unclear, I think. Okay, so I will play one last game. Let me play against John Sorin, whom I haven't played. And this will be the last game for the evening. So let's hope I can finish in style. This is another nice trap. If he takes, I have e5. Which is very useful to know. Whoops. A little bit too fast. I think my opponent again. Okay, this was very fast. So one more. One more. Why not? Let's play against Miniund. Let's see which gambit. He's playing what I did in the beginning of the stream with black. But I don't believe it's very good. This is very, very passive for black. Now also... Hang on, what do I do here? Just this maybe. What is Miniund going to do here? If f6 I can take on c6. This is very good. He does not do it. So then maybe queen c4. But now he can take with the knight. Yeah, I should probably not have allowed this. What is this now? Now there is... But f6 I can take here now. Yeah, this is very useful for me. So check. Pick up this guy. Queen e4, I guess. I allowed bishop f5. I allowed bishop f5. Oof. Let's move the queen, king very quickly here. Oof. Ay. That was almost embarrassing. Queen takes d7. Does it work? No, d5 works. d5 and now take. And now I have a lot of extra material. And a lot of extra time actually, which is also very useful in bullet. So, okay, that's I think it for me for tonight. Guess we'll see you all on during the title arena on Saturday. I will definitely play, looking forward to that. And yeah, I hope you all enjoyed. And that especially those of you who got games were happy with the games. Well done. And yeah, I guess see you around. It was a great pleasure to play and chat with all of you. And I'm sure that Lichess will do many more things like this with me and other people. So see you around, guys, and good night, everyone.